All right, everyone, we'll get started. So if you can just either find a seat or go somewhere, you can put your headset. I hope you are hearing me. Okay. All right, let's get started. Well, we are at a technology event. We are, I suppose, here mostly IT people. Do you remember how you got into IT? Like, what got you into doing stuff with computers? I personally do. I was a teenager and I wanted to play video games, but sometimes my computer just wouldn't launch my game. I had parents that were really bad with computers, so I had to find ways to fix it myself. Now, my passion was not launching drivers or fixing GPU problems. My passion was playing World of Warcraft. I wanted my game to just launch, and so I needed to find a way to make it work. Yeah, you need to put the capture that you have toward me, otherwise you won't hear me. Anyway, where am I going with the story? I think that's from there that I had the impression, or at least I have the point of view that technology should be there for a purpose. They are not a mean in itself, okay? It's especially important here, considering that we are talking about AI. This is not your typical AI startup presentation where I'm going to tell you that you can fire all your developers, assistants, salespeople, because with just a click, your company will make you rich. That's not the approach we have at Odoo. What we do at Odoo is make practical features, and I'll be honest, for now, you can do a lot of things with Odoo, but it won't run your business by itself, okay? So this talk will be about promising you a super secret dashboard that can analyze everything based on something. It's concrete and specific features where we always looked at, well, using this tool and the state it's at, how can we help Odoo users doing things in Odoo, which is, for example, their CRM, their ERP, etc., etc. And I'm really excited to be here, to show you a bit the new AI features. I'm the AI product owner at Odoo, and we've been working really hard the last few months to make sure we could ship every feature we wanted to have. The team did a great job, and we are really glad to be able to showcase all those new features. Now, you probably know the drill. We'll have some time at the end of the talk here to go through your different questions. We have a QR code and the pad link. So if you ever have something you want to ask, you can just write it down there. If you have a specific use case in mind, something that needs more time, or just want to chat about things more in details, we have a booth there on the Odoo Village side. The entire developer team is there, so if you even want to geek out on the technical details, for example, they'll be really happy to do it with you. All right, now that this is done, let's get started. This is the program for today. I'm just doing the first talk of a series of different talks. Of course, I won't talk about all features, but you see that we cover a lot of different things that we added in Odoo in version 19. It's really cool because you'll be able to see the same tools used differently to solve different problems. The features that we created allow you a lot of flexibility, and you will see that in action. For example, there's a talk where you will see those tools apply to e-commerce, flows, for example, etc., etc. And the last talk at the end of the day, you should really attend it as well, because it's from the developers from our team that actually worked on the agents. So they will be able to give you also some technical background about it. On my side, I just want to show you a few things that maybe you haven't heard about, a few different use cases, and to really explain what it means for us to have AI inside your Odoo system. So let's start with the basics. You probably saw a few demos already, or maybe the keynote. One really big feature that we are adding in this new version is the ability to manage fields that are filled in via AI, okay? You can do a lot of things with that, so let me just show you again some examples. So when you add fields, you can do it in two ways in Odoo. On some models, you can do it as properties, or you can do it with Studio. And with Studio, you'll be able to create Odoo fields that are computed based on your prompt. So here is an example. If I take a customer here, I have here an example of something you could do. The goal is not to say that this is the best practice or something everyone should be doing. I'm just showing you the different use cases to really allow you to then build your own system based on your own needs. What do I have here? I have, for example, a field that looks for this company name and then finds how many employees they have, for example. It's a search online, so it's one of the big usage of this AI field feature. It can search online, retrieve information, and then pull it out for you inside your database, okay? I do the same here, for example, with what are the revenues of this company. I create the field, and then I just ask for Odoo AI to do the search. I like to use HTML fields for that, because then you can have some formatting, but also some links in case you want to double check the information, or maybe go further in your analysis. And here, for example, I have another example. I ask the AI agent, well, check their LinkedIn account, have a look online, and tell me just in a few words what they actually are posting about. So, if I click here with Studio, I will be able to show you a bit how it's done. For example, for the revenues here is my prompt. If you've used ChatGPT already, it should be pretty clear. The only different things when you're doing it in Odoo is that we use dynamic placeholders. So what's that? Is that you use the command /field, and it allows you to retrieve any field in the database so that it's injected in your prompt before we give it to the AI system, which means it can work for any record. Because, for example, here, for my company called Volvo, we will generate a prompt that says, search online for a company called Volvo, located in the United States, and then I have my question, okay? So it will search online dynamically for this specific company, and then retrieve the information. So that's an example. Here, it's basically the same. The prompt, if you are used to working with prompts, you know sometimes we need to ask, make it shorter, maybe add bullet points, I only focus on this sort of news, etc. This is all something you can do. It's the usual prompt. The only specific part is this idea of /field, okay? And then the other part, if I do, for example, let's create a new field. So I got here, and in Studio, you see here, I have an AI field option now in Studio. Let's drop it here. You can decide which field type you want, and we will brief the AI system on the field type that you are using so that the input that we get fits into that field. What's interesting is that if I use a many-to-one, for example, so this is a field that takes values from the database, okay? I could do the same, for example, with the tags, and I would use the tags that already exist just to show you a bit how it works. My prompt here, I have two options. I can let the AI freely fill the field. I would say, for example, search all the different tags and find the one that's best suited for what you see here, based on the values. Or if I want to have clear rules, for example, if the company blah blah blah, then blah blah blah, I can use /record, which allows you to pick specific records as references, okay? If I say, for example, when you assign the task, if blah blah blah, then assign look, then I will say /record, so that when the AI answers, my answer to this request is look should be the answer, then it would be given with the references so that Odoo can update my record for me. Okay, on top of that, something that I really like to use, of course there's a lot of information on the web that can be useful, but you can also use it with the information from your database. Here is an example of something I like to do and found really interesting while testing. Here I'm saying, okay, I will give you all the purchases made by company name, okay? And I want you to have a look at this data, because I know that LLMs are really good with big sets of data. I want you to identify a trend. I want you to find something that comes to mind when you see all this data. So I say, do you identify any trend, and specific way we can improve our collaboration? Answer in the style of an executive summary, otherwise I know the answer will be really, really long, really brief and to the point. And here I'm actually giving it all the sale order lines linked to this contact in my Odoo database. So on top of my prompt with my question, the system will receive a list of all the order lines with their creation dates, the different product names, and the quantity that have been ordered. For now, let's say that's enough for my analysis, okay? I could do the same with tickets, etc. What's really cool is that then I can get some analysis done for me directly in my system with the data. You see those are the sale orders, and I have information, for example, well, the orders, most of them are from this specific date. Makes sense, that's when I created my database. They ordered those products, etc., etc. Then of course you can refine those prompts depending on what you want. What I just wanted to showcase here is that you can really use information that lives inside your database, give it as a big list of data, and then ask for interpretations or work with it. All right, so those are a few things that you can do. Another example, you saw a bit how it works with applicants. So let's have a look. I'll show you a bit the actions. So actions are a bit different. We are not creating a new field and asking AI to fill it. We are asking an update of our record based on a prompt, okay? For example, here, you see I have a PDF. This is an applicant in the recruitment app, and I want to have a quick overview at what's good or bad about this profile. So what I did is I created an automation that says when you move to this specific stage, I want you to do some work for me based on that PDF. So you can integrate files into your prompts, it will get access to it, and you will get the results based on this. So here it's thinking, looking at the PDFs, and here you go. My prompt was build a SWOT matrix with all the different key points about this specific applicant, and if you see something important, put it in bold, okay? I can show you the prompt here to show a bit how it works behind the scenes. I have here an update. So I say, okay, this is an automated action with Studio. You've probably done quite a few of those. I want to update the record. I want to do it with AI. I want you to update the note field. And here is my prompt. Do a SWOT for the candidate name, name of the candidate, for the job position, name of the job position. Here is the structure that I want you to use because I wanted to make sure I always get a clean data table and not some bullet points all around the place. And then I say at the end, here is the resume so that I make sure that when this prompt is triggered, I'm also feeding to the system the content of the PDF file, and then it can do a lot of things with that. So that's another way, and it works the same way as fields. You use /record and /field, and you get the information pulled from your database to do basically anything you want. Okay. Another cool feature that maybe you haven't heard about yet is the fact that you can even use prompts inside your email templates. So let me show you. When I go inside my configuration here of manage templates, I have a custom template here called profile questions, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm inserting a dynamic part inside my email template. This dynamic part will be evaluated when we are rendering this email to make sure that we get dynamic text based on this data, okay? How did I do it? Well, when you are in your email, you do /AI, and you see I can insert a prompt here. For example, so here you see I'm using the notes that I just structured in advance, and I'm basically asking as a reference to have an example. I'm telling the system, well, this is my candidate. Here is the profile of that person. I want you to look into this profile and to come up with an interesting question that could be asked to that person, for example, on the phone, or here I'm sending it as an email. And so it says, well, blah, 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 how would you leverage those skills, etc., etc. So that's based on the profile of this specific person because they probably speak about data here and their experience in that specific domain, okay? So you see at different points in Odoo, you can always ask to have content generated by AI, and then it's up to you to find the exact prompt that you need, but the data is there, so the request can be done dynamically. Cool. Let's go to the next step. Let's talk about agents. So what's an agent? Basically, it's a bot with a specific prompt with which you can chat if you need information about things. If I go into Odoo again, you see that when I open it here, that's what I'm having. I'm opening a conversation with an agent here. And here you see different demos that you have if you want to check a bit how it works. Now, when I'm here on the contacts, for example, I can also use it, and you see that the actions are different. It detects that we are on a specific record, so the options are not the same, and here I can have, for example, a follow-up answer and a chatter conversation, a summary, sorry. That's the generic tool that you will have. But maybe you will tell me, yeah, but when I'm opening a conversation on a lead, I want something different. I don't want to have the generic prompt because that's not what I will ask the system. Okay, then that's exactly what I did here. When you open it on the lid, I'll show you the configuration. I can have different buttons here. So you can customize which default prompts will be showed. And if I say, for example, give me tips to close this deal, for example. Now, I can rely on what ChatGPT or Google Gemini knows, okay? Or I can go even a bit further. And here you can see that, for example, I'm getting a lot of tips, also because I actually have a specific agent trained for that. Let me show you how it works. So, when I go into AI, so those are my different agents with the things they can do, the models they're using, etc. And it's a bit advanced, but you can play around with default prompts. That is, when I open a conversation on a specific place, I want you to do something different, okay? And here, if you check, so here I have a rule that says, when people open a conversation with an agent, but on a lead, I want to call a specific agent, and I want to have this specific prompt, and those different buttons by default, okay? Who's this agent? It's a sales advisor that I created in my database with clear guidelines about what it's supposed to be doing. And I have, for example, given it a book that I think will help him answer with specific points to help my salespeople work better, okay? And you see it's been indexed, so sometimes it will pull information from there. For now, I'm not forcing the system to answer with it. I could tick this box if I want to have answers only from my actual documentation. Here, for me, just an extra to make sure that sometimes it's used because I consider that it's a valuable source. Okay, so this is an example of things you can do. Another example would be, for example, when I'm in an invoice, maybe if I'm really bad at everything related to accounting, you may want to have something that says, well, are my taxes correct, or do I use the correct account? Considering that when you open a conversation, we give the entire context to the system, you would be able, for example, to get answers based on what you have here. Here, for example, my accounts are not correct at all. And since we give this information, you would get this feedback. Again, if you want to make sure you have interesting answers, you can have a specific agent with specific documentation to make sure that the answers are related to what you're actually doing and based on, for example, your own fiscal context. Okay, so this is another example of things that we can do. Maybe to finish, last use case, because of course, once you have an agent that can easily answer in chat, you want to make sure it can speak with customers, okay? And we actually have a few extra tools. So for example, here is my live chat agent. I connected it with my front end, and I give it a tool which is called information retrieval. That's something that you can give to your agent to make sure that it can search in your Odoo database, okay? What's the point? Well, here I'm logged on my portal, I'm a demo customer, and I'm saying what's the status of my order. What I'm actually doing as a visitor is doing a search inside the database via the AI system, and of course it's run with my own access rights. So I won't be able to access everything in the database. What I access is what's linked to my specific profile, okay? Again, this is a live chat agent, so I could give it a lot of different documentations like PDFs or knowledge articles or specific processes, guidelines, etc., etc. Here, I'm logged as demo, so it's able to know, well, what's the meaning of my order. It can look for it and it says, okay, I found your order, here is the reference, here is the total. The delivery will be on that day because the information is stored in my Odoo database, okay? I have it on the shipping order. And for example, here I asked also the agent to give me the tracking link because it's stored in my database of this. And if I click here, here is my bpost link from, for example, something I received a few days ago, okay? So considering it is stored in a database and I have access to it as a portal customer because this is linked to my actual access rights, you can retrieve this sort of information dynamically. It also works inside the database. So you see here I have another action, and that will be the last point, natural language search. A use case, for example, is I'm here and I have a question which is, what's the project that costs us the most Here, of course, I'm an internal user, so I have access rights that are far higher, and I can look into far more things. I'm doing the same, though. I'm looking for information, and here, considering I don't have any project with the cost, it's saying 0. Based on my request, there's nothing here, okay? When you create an Odoo database, you will see that you have a lot of default prompts here. We know this is not something you maybe use every day. We're just trying to show you what you can do so that you can adapt it to your needs. Maybe there are searches that you need to do every morning. It could be automated here. But I see that my time is up, so we'll just go to the Q&A, and if you have something to ask, you can just go to the pad. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the presentation. So we're going to cover in a few minutes the questions we have in the pad.
Yeah.
First one being, does AI work on premise?
Yeah, of course. What we did is that when you start a database on odoo.com, you use our own keys because we give it for you, like we give outgoing email servers. But we have a configuration where you can add your own key with your own account if you want to use it at home. Yeah.
Okay. Can you remind us also what LLM is used for the Odoo AI?
You can actually decide which one will be used. If I show you quickly, when you configure the agent, you can decide which model you want to use. Usually people use ChatGPT or Gemini, so those are the two first providers we support. For now, we don't plan to add any other. But you can pick the version depending on the exact use case. You may have better results. Yeah.
Okay. And we implement MCP server.
For now, we don't have this planned because we are really focusing on Odoo flows and Odoo business cases, so we don't plan to have an open API for now. It's really focusing on what can we do to make it easier in Odoo itself.
Okay. How do we ensure that the Odoo AI is GDPR compliant?
It's actually pretty easy to explain. For now, everything that we do is we share the information with the provider because there's no other way around it. So if you are really sensitive about your data, I would say you need to contact, for example, OpenAI, and when you make a contract with them, you can have such clauses. But on our side here, we are indeed taking your data and giving it to this API because that's the way we can receive those answers.
Okay. Does the AI also take into consideration access rights? For instance, if
Yeah, of course. So everything, whenever you see me doing a search, it's doing it as with the access right of my user, and it's as if I was doing it myself. So as a portal user, that's why he found the order 62. That's the one linked to my account, and the record rule says that I have access to it. So it's sort of executing a search with my own user, so you won't get access to information you're not supposed to via this tool.
Okay. And how often are the AI fields updated or computed?
So you create the field, and then there's a scheduled task that will update it for all your record. If you want an update live, you can click on the button to get a new value. But once we have a value, we don't change it. It stays there because otherwise it would run for every, for example, contact every time, and it wouldn't be efficient.
Okay. And if we use, for instance, article from the knowledge application, if we update the article, the AI answers will also be updated?
You will probably need to re-index it. So if I go here and I check here, you see below I can add sources. So those are the formats that we support that you can feed to the systems to get the answers. Once you upload a knowledge article, I'm pretty sure it will be stored and formatted to be ready. So you need to re-index it if it changes a lot.
When using a dynamic AI text in a mail template, is there a way to control that the proposed text is acceptable?
Yeah, so we add a lot of system prompts to tell the system this will be inserted into an email, so make sure blah blah blah. And you have the control in the prompt to also ask whatever you want. Of course, I wouldn't send this like blindly to 10,000 customers without double checking. But if you want a first draft or a first ID or maybe a structure done for you, it works really well.
Okay. Is there any limit in terms of PDF number or a document that can be processed by the AI?
Not that I'm aware of, but if you have a million PDFs in mind, it's best to check with the technical team. But we never set like a specific rule of data. We didn't do it.
Okay. What about a forget all previous instruction prompt?
Actually, what we do is most of those conversations are one shot. So you open, you get your result, and then you close it, and we delete the conversation so that we don't mix up data, because you see, for example, when I'm here and I open it on the lead, the name of the lead is in the title of the conversation. It means that we gave it all the information. This conversation is linked to that lead. So if I keep asking questions about other things, it won't work. So once I'm done with it, I just close it. Everything is forgotten and you can just open a new session when you need it next.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. So can you maybe just remind us where we can find more information about your presentation?
You can just start a new trial if you want to play with it, or otherwise you can go at the product booth and we'll be happy to show you a bit how it works.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.